Coach. I appreciate the time right after Christmas. We were talking right before we came on, so I'm going to make you say it again, but nothing exciting for you for Christmas this year at this stage of your fatherhood, gift-wise?
Just the old stuff that you see on TV, ties, socks, pajamas, stuff like that. I'm in that realm right now. my age. The coolest thing my wife got me was the old Atari 2600.
Yep.
So I haven't really gotten into it like I want to, because it has 26 games on there and it's older and it's all the stuff that I grew up with. And most kids don't know what a one-arm joystick is because they've never seen one. Yeah. And so that stuff was my life growing up. And playing Atari.
Are you the same as me, where like every game system you thought to yourself, it could never get better than this? When you went to Atari and Nintendo, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest a game could ever look.
When I was coming up, when we saw Double Dribble, and we never thought anything could be better than NBA Live, and obviously 2K now blows that stuff away. But probably the biggest one is when you had Walter Payton on Tecmo Bowl or Barry Sanders, you thought Bo Jackson, those guys were incredible. You thought that. There's no football game that could ever top Tecmo Bowl. Then Super Tecmo Bowl comes out, so and then the Madden stuff hits, and you're just like, this is like lifelike.
Right. It's great. Yeah, now it's crazy, but I was the same way. So this week I'm going to ask you questions from our members of our site. I was going to do 10, and I couldn't stop at 10, so I've got 11. And I'm just going to rattle through these here, and so these are from them, and I think they're pretty good. The first one is a pretty hot topic now. I think just in basketball in general is thoughts on sitting players with foul trouble. The conventional wisdom is always, for the most part, has always been they get 2, you sit them in the first half, they get 3 early in the second half, you sit them. Do you guys have set rules like that you're going to sit them after 2 or whatever? And is that something you guys continue to reevaluate and look at as a staff?
Well, I think when you have veteran officials, you would rather play them with 2, and sometimes the venue. Yeah. And where you're known to magically accumulate fouls sometimes. We all know places like that. But those places, and sometimes, going against our own convention wisdom at Marquette, thinking, Dean's safe. Right. Because he doesn't foul like that.
And then he got 5 in the fastest span ever.
And that's one of those deals where you look back and say, maybe we should have got him out. And we just didn't play well. And it was like, okay, we're going to get some infusion by putting our guy back in a little earlier than what we'd liked. And the fouls he got were crazy, But, it's a learning lesson for him. And learning that's for us. So, that wisdom where you say, hey, I'm going to pull my guy with 2 fouls, it depends on the time, it depends on the whistle, and it depends on the venue, because all 3 of those are important, because a lot of guys know your best guy doesn't – they'll help you. And officials will keep good guys in games and, talk to them. Hey, don't do that again. And that's the beauty when you get an older, group of guys who really know what they're doing and really understand it's about the kids and not the refs.
The next question is about your guys' defense, and it asks it from a unique perspective, so I kind of liked it. So it's a little bit longer, but I'll read it off. Does your defensive style impact your team's ability to make shots and shoot free throws at all? Meaning you guys right now are arguably one of the best defensive teams in the country, but struggling to shoot the basketball at times. Are those coordinated at all? Do they ever exert so much energy on defense that it's hard to do it on both ends?
I think it's a kind of a no, not really, because our first year we were one of the best defensive teams in the country, and we ran motion, and we were one of the better offensive teams in the league. So I think just from our standpoint, we just haven't uncorked it yet, because our good shooters are on the team, and they haven't shot it yet. And for us to say you got to convince your team of a way to win. And right now we're convincing them we're really good defensively. We're going to make shots, and we're going to get better on the free throw line. Part of our thing is the wrong people are getting fouled a lot on our team, and not the right people are being aggressive enough to the rim. And we understand that. But we're not going to change anything because right now we're at such a high level. We're going to continue to do that. We just got to make shots, and that comes down to just continuing to get in the gym, continuing to work at it. And some of it is us magically thinking, hey, we went to Elite 8, we're going to magically be good again shooting the basketball. And now we've had to, restart and go back to moving bricks in the foundation again. Yeah. That's the, kind of how we're approaching it. You got to move bricks again, guys, and build from the bottom up and not look at the top and say, hey, let's get back to Elite 8 again. It's about right now what's in front of us, and some of that has affected our guys.
This is for me, so I want to follow up on the defense. I know I know you're seen as and thought of as being a real defensive guy, and you look at every defensive stat you have for the team right now, would say that you're one of the elite defenses in the country. So I guess let us ask you, since it's your defense, is your defense as good as the numbers say they are right now, or do you want to see more out of that?
I mean, it's where it needs to be. Obviously, rebounding can continue to get better, and we're good rebounding the ball as well this year. So that was our biggest thing. We could defend last year, but we would give up, over double figures offensive rebounds a game, and that allowed people to really hurt us offensively. Now you're seeing people get one shot and us getting in transition a little more, and we've just got to continue to be good at the basics, and that's why we're good defensively. We're good at keeping the ball in front. We're good at really game planning to stop the best guys and really focus on keeping people out of transition.
Yeah. I have to ask this because I probably got 10 versions of this question. With Austin Trice struggling from the foul line, you mentioned the wrong guys getting to the line. A lot of people asked about the old school retro, two-hand granny shot type free throw. Is that something you ever consider with a player? And how's Austin doing, in practice shooting free throws and that kind of thing?
Well, Rick Barry is obviously an elite guy that shot underhand free throws, but there's a reason why. His touch was amazing. He's not only shot under, he's one of the best players in the history of the game. So his touch, obviously, and other people, Will Chamberlain, other guys tried it. And, Austin, he's a work in progress on that side of the ball. He's a work in progress on learning the system. And some people think it's because free throws why he's struggling. No, it's about learning everything we do. Yeah. And that's a JUCO thing. That's a thing where junior college guys usually have great senior years, and the back half of their first year they get better, and that's where we see Austin. You can kind of see it coming, to the forefront at the Vanderbilt game where he knew where he needed to be. He was always in the right position, doing what he's supposed to do, being where he's supposed to be. Those are the things that have kept him out of the lineup. Now, the free throw stuff is repetition. The free throw stuff is being comfortable. And most guys who are bad free throw shooters have a high anxiety rate.
Of course.
And the anxiety of being in front of people and failing is his biggest problem as opposed to missing a free throw.
Yeah.
He's so nervous about people seeing him miss that he psychs himself out before he even shoots it. And I think that's the biggest thing is what coaches really had him do is just focus on relaxing and pretending there's nobody in the gym and just making a shot from that point.
Have you ever heard, this is unrelated, have you ever heard the term the Ewing Theory, something Bill Simmons used to propose about teams occasionally playing better without their best player? Is that something you've ever heard thrown out, that title or anything like that?
Dean's been a part of some humongous wins, so we can't say that we're better without him. Yeah. But what we can say is that we can survive without him. And I think that's more important than to put the onus on saying our players play better without one of the better players in the country.
Right.
We just know how to play without him. And I think there's a big difference. A lot of people run and hide when their best guy is out and don't want to step up and make those plays that they need to be made. And the good thing about our guys is that not only have they relished it, they've really hit it out of the park when we're talking about playing with that. Now we don't know how long this is. With the NCAA, the tournament's one and done, so it could be done the next game.
Absolutely.
Now we got a whole conference in front of us, and not knowing the timetable is a little scary, but those guys have confidence, and we have confidence in them to step up and do the things we need them to do to help us win.
The next question asks more about Dean. What does he do from the bench? There's a lot of different things. Guys can be really emotional cheerleaders. Some guys can help with game planning or strategy, or they can just kind of stay out of the way. What's Dean's role from the bench, or even in practice during this time?
Well, in practice, he's rehabbing.
Yeah.
It's trying to get him back because he doesn't need to watch practice. He knows everything we do.
Sure.
We're more focused with his rehab, and then him being at the end of practice, we do more team stuff where he can be vocal. The in and outs of the beginning of practice and the system and all that stuff, he doesn't need to watch any of that. His stuff is more rehab, getting treatment, for the first hour of practice. Watching the film of the teams we play, he doesn't need to do that because he knows our system, and he can just read the scouting report when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
But he's got a great spirit about it. I messed with him yesterday and said, "So it's your official first day of retirement today, Dean?" And he said, "Nope, been 6 days in a row now. I'm enjoying it." So he's got a great spirit about it, and he wants to be back out there as much as he wants. But he also knows that if he's down in the dumps and he's a dud and he's miserable about his approach to getting back, our guys will feel it.
Yeah, a couple questions about Mac. The first one's for me, I guess. we know he had a great game in Kansas City last year against KU with Dean out. He played really well against Vandy on Saturday. Does he just, I guess, why does he step up? Of course, with Dean out, is it just out of necessity? But he's played a lot better, it seems like, with Dean out of the lineup.
I don't know what it is. Honestly, Mac plays better when the opponent is better.
Yeah.
Not so much even when Dean is not playing. Mac was great in the islands. Mac's been good whenever the opponent's supposed to be really good. Whatever his matchup is, a guy with a lot of potential and has got hype, Mac plays well.
Yeah.
When it's a guy he doesn't know or never heard of, he plays. He struggles with that. And with Mac, it's everybody's talking about win the dang day. We say throw Matt the dang ball.
Yep.
We tell our guys throw him the ball. Because he obviously can make plays, and he's slowly growing into what we want, and his maturity level has obviously gotten better, and we're just continuously hoping that he continues to develop in the right way.
This is a question from a user. He obviously hit a three, a nice looking shot against Vandy. He's hit threes in the past. The question that they ask, does he have the green light if he's wide open from three to take those?
Yeah, Mac shoots threes in practice, and some of the things that we don't want Mac to shoot moving threes, where Dean can make a three moving. Mac is more of a catch it, get my feet, and then shoot. Right now he can't make shots moving outside the arc. And a lot of our stuff we do with Dean, he's moving and he's either picking and popping or he's doing stuff like that. Mac can do that to 15. So we allow him to shoot. We don't tell him no, but I think he's learned which ones are bad and which ones are, time and score.
Yeah.
So he's done a good job with it.
You mentioned earlier different venues and that kind of thing and different officials. Somebody simply asks you, I'll ask it exactly how they wrote it. What conference road game do you most look forward to making the trip to? So what conference road game do you either enjoy the most or you just look forward to the most?
I like all of them because everybody wants you to say Kansas,
of course,
because it is what it is, but Iowa State's just as crazy.
Yeah.
And that's, the Hilton Magic is real, and that's part of it. But there's all those any road trip you get a win on is a magical venue.
Yeah.
So, especially in our league, and we teach our guys not to focus on what's your most fun and what's your big, but we just teach them, hey, have happy plane rides home, and that's kind of what our focus has been, is happy trips home, and the only way you can do that is when on the road.
You're pretty close to being through non-con. Of course, George Mason left, and then you'll step out and play A&M later. But with it pretty close to being over, if you're going to say one thing you're happy about or take confidence from, what would it be? And then the flip side, what would you be most worried about?
I think the biggest thing is, when you look at our deal, we've played 4, neutral site and 2 on the road. That's 6 games away. Most people haven't played any.
Right.
If you look at, obviously Kansas plays a lot of road. They're not afraid to do that. But then you look at other guys in our league that have played a bunch of 300 level schools, and then their RPI is good because they haven't lost, and that's the flip side of it. The good thing is that we've played other people's venues. The bad thing is that we lost both of them.
Right.
And the bad part about that is, the scheduling. We only had, we had too long in between them, and that's, looking back, you probably should have had a midweek game in between one of those 2 road games just to get you ready, because we're an old team, and old teams don't want to practice, for a week and then get ready to play. That's obviously something that we learned, but that side of it, that would be the only thing, is have a midweek in between one of those 2 true road games just to kind of get us there. But if you look at RPI, we're 6, which is crazy. Right. You look at the BPI and all that other stuff, and you look at the net includes, point differential. And some guys have had good schedules but have blown out some really bad teams.
Yep.
We haven't played really bad teams. We got, a couple of teams that are at the top of their league. Obviously with Penn, they beat Villanova. Then you look at Lehigh, who's at the top of their league.
Yep.
Then you look at Georgia State, who's got a chance to win their league again and go back to the NCAA tournament. You look at those guys, and then you're like, we needed to play those type of teams with the same ambitions that we have of winning our league. And that's the flip side and the good part about our schedule, is to play the good mids and lows to get us ready.
Right. This is totally changing gears, but this user asks, when you're recruiting, what are the most important things that you look for? Is it defense versus offense? Is it their work ethic? Is it their fit with what you already do? What are the non-negotiable things that you look for when you're recruiting that you have to have in a kid?
Like, it changes from year to year.
Yeah.
Number one, if you need a big and he needs to be just a bruiser, and you need some size, and you need some length, that has to play into part of what you need.
Yeah. First
and foremost is we need a big body. So that's what you got to find first. Then you wither it down to character, talent, can you get them? What are your ends? So it's different with number one, character, and guys that Bruce Weber can coach. And I've been with him the longest, so knowing a guy who does well with him in the system is the number one thing that you have to look for when in recruiting. But sometimes what you need dictates what type of player. And just saying, hey, I want that guy, that's not all necessarily the right thing, because we lost a couple kids in recruiting because they didn't think they could wait behind Barry. Or they didn't think they could wait behind Cam, or they didn't think they could wait behind X. So that's some of it is the whole new world of impatience and not wanting to play behind a good player for 1 year, and convincing guys that look at X, he played a year behind Wesley Awandu, who was an NBA guy, and it paid off for him. And that part of it helps. But it's still the new kid wants instant gratification, instant stardom, and finding the right kid that wants to be a part of something bigger and get better at the same time is important for us.
That's how Flanders is. He wants instant gratification for everything. I like this question because I'm somebody, I was never a good shooter in basketball, but I did feel myself affected by different gyms, different lighting, different depth perception. In college basketball these days, you guys in lots of schools have practice gyms and then regular gyms. The question this user asks is, where do you shoot more at, whether it's ice or in Bramlage? And then when you're in Bramlage shooting, is the lighting the same as a game or is it different? So just talking about how you work on shooting in different venues.
Some of that's important. Some of it is shit. There's always just a hoop and a rim.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And some of it is overblown. But if you go to the Carry Dome in Syracuse, obviously the backdrop is a little bit different than playing in a 5,000-seat field house. So that part of it, the depth perception and the people in there and all that stuff does have an effect. But once you get to playing, it really is just basketball. But we shoot more in ice. Yeah. But we've always shot more in ice. So that's not – and most people at practice facilities do tend to be – because they're easier to access and be in there 24/7 as opposed to Bramlage.
Right.
Now we're in there. Over break, we do morning shooting. We do shooting in the morning, Bramlage, and we practice at the ice. But I think the bigger thing with that is, what's funny about our place is there's a spot in front of the visitors' bench on the baseline.
I actually know what you're talking about.
And the glare is terrible. When you look up, you look at the rim. It's a really bad. One of the lights is brighter than the other, and everybody complains about it. Even our guys complain about that one spot in the short corner right in front of the visitors' bench. That's impossible to make a shot from if you're not from Manhattan and in a K-State uniform.
It's like an old gym that has a dead spot on the floor your team knows about and could force people.
And we never dribbled it. Never dribbled that spot.
Yep. So. This is the last one that I'm using from the users, and I think it's probably the most fun one. And I imagine some of your players are going to watch this, so you have to think about them. But so you're going to have a one-on-one tournament with your entire team. So everyone's healthy, everyone's good to go, ready to play. Who do you see getting the Final Four? Who do you see playing in the championship game? And who would win that one-on-one tournament amongst all your guys, all healthy?
Well, I mean, Barry's going to be in the championship. He's going to cheat, number one. Regardless of anything, I just know he's going to get to the championship.
You're not cheating, you're not trying.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying. And, I'll just say that I don't think anybody at our team would argue about getting there, and it's in the depths he will go to win, whether cheating or fair. But as far as anything else, that's the only one I'll go with because everybody knows Barry's a cheater. So,
is there anybody I don't want to say random because they're all good players, but anybody who we wouldn't think about who'd have a great chance, like a Shawn Williams, a guy like that would have
Shawn
a chance?
is definitely a random guy whose talent level is, if you watch him and you watch his practice and just shooting and making shots, you're like, holy cow. He's still a freshman and he still has his good and bad days, but future-wise for him, he's got a chance to be really good because he has intangible knack of feeling people around him, and that's something that a lot of young kids have, especially real point guards who can see where people are and know where to throw it or know when to shoot a pull-up, and he's got that right now. But it's just the same thing. He's playing behind, Cam. He's playing behind Barry. He's playing, behind Cardi, and those are three good players. And at times it looks like he's down in the dumps. He's losing every day, but he's winning with experience and going against the right type of guys.
The last thing I want to ask for myself is just about the Big 12 in general. There have been some teams that probably haven't been super tested in the league, but at least from my perspective, I think the league's been better than I expected. There's some schools who I won't name names, but didn't expect a lot from, who have played pretty well. I guess just what's your perception of the Big 12 through non-conference play as you get close to entering that league play?
We knew who was going to be good. I mean, obviously people, Iowa State's talent level we knew was way high.
Yeah.
So we knew it was going to be hard for them to be picked that low.
Yeah.
We knew Texas Tech still had Culver, who we thought when Evans went down, Culver was their best player, and it's one of them got drafted, but Culver was still their best player, had the best numbers. He was the point guard when Evans went down. He handled the ball exclusively. He guarded the best player exclusively.
Yeah.
And we were like, I hope he doesn't come back, because we knew that if this dude had more touches and more time with the ball,
right,
I mean, he would be deadly, and obviously he's shown that, and he's a potential high draft pick.
Yep. Well, I appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for the time. We'll have you back here real soon.
Thanks.